Part 2 of Maths, Chapter 2, uh, Compound Interest Without Using Formula. The first question. Calculate the difference between compound interest and simple interest on rupees 4,000 at 8% per annum and in 2 years. Right? So first, we have to find the compound interest. Let's find the compound interest. So for first year, I'll directly begin for first year. What is the principal for the first year? The principal for the first year P1 is rupees 4,000. What is the rate? What is the rate? The rate is 8% per annum, and time T1 will be 1 year. So we can find I1, which is P1 into R1 into T1 upon 100. So the answer will be I1 is rupees 40 into 8, that is 320 rupees. Now we can find A1. A1 is P1 plus I1, which is 4,000 plus 320, which is rupees 4320. Now for second year, same thing for the second year. So we can get compound interest. P2 will be A1, that is rupees 4320. R2, the rate for second year, is the same as the rate for first year, 8% per annum, and T2 will be 1 year, right? So I2 will be P2 into R2 into T2 upon 100. 0, 0 cuts, and I2 becomes 438 multiplied by 8, 432 multiplied by 8 divided by 10. So if you calculate this, you will get 8 to the 16, 3456 divided by 10, that is rupees 345.60, rupees 345.60. Now amount after 2 years will be P2 plus I2, that is 4320 plus 345.60. You need to add this. You will get just add it here, rupees 4665.60. So this is the amount after 2 years. Now we have to find compound interest, right? So what will be the compound interest? Compound interest will be I1 plus I2, that is, or you can say final amount minus original principal, whichever way suits you. So 320 plus 345.60. So this will be 665.60 rupees. 665.60, correct. So this is the compound interest, right? So compound interest part is over. Now the next part is simple interest. I'm sure you all know how to find simple interest. Simple interest is PRT upon 100. We directly take time as 2 years over here. So principal is 8,000. Principal is 4,000. I'm sorry for that. 4,000 Rate is 8% and time will directly take it as 2 years. When we simplify, we get 320 into 2, that is rupees 640. This is the simple interest, and here is the compound interest. They have asked us to find the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Here I want all of you to pay attention on one part. For the same principal, at the same rate, and for the same time period, which is more? Please listen to my question very carefully. For the same principal, for the same rate, and for the same time, which is more, compound interest or simple interest? Of course, compound interest. Compound interest is always more than simple interest. So that is the first thing which we learned. We'll just note this thing down, but before that, we'll just conclude this question. The question is, what is the difference between compound interest and simple interest? So we'll definitely do CI minus SI, not SI minus CI. So 665.60 minus 640, which is rupees 25.60. Right, so this is how you solve. And the first thing which we learned from this question, always remember the first thing which we learned from this question. See, the first part of the chapter was very easy. There was just questions about finding uh, compound interest or amount, right? No fancy questions. Here in the second part, the new topic, all the new types of questions, they start coming. So keep these points in mind which we learn from the solved examples. The first point which we learned was compound interest is always greater than simple interest for the same principal, time, and rate. For the same principal, time, and rate. Correct? Let's move to the second question. Mrs. Kapoor invested rupees 6,000 every year at the beginning of the year at 10% per annum compound interest. Calculate the amount of her total savings up to the end of second year and at the beginning of third year. Please be very careful when you come across these kind of questions. Mrs. Kapoor invested rupees 6,000. This is your principal. Every year at the beginning of the year. These are the important terms to be taken care of. So beginning of the year means, let's say the year begins in January. So she invests in January. She has 6,000 rupees at the beginning of every year and she invests those 6,000 rupees immediately at the beginning of the year itself. Now the whole year, suppose the beginning of the year was let's say 2019. So in the beginning, that is 19th, January 2019, she will invest 6,000 and the whole 2019, this money will remain invested. So at the end of the year, at the end of 2019 or beginning of 2020, she will get back her money with some interest. This is what generally happens when you deposit money in a bank. Every year they give you some interest, right? So she invested rupees 6,000 every year. The only point which is little different over here is that she's investing this money every year. Every year means uh, suppose at the beginning of 2018 she invested, then at the beginning of 2019 also she invested, then at the beginning of 2020 she will also invest, and she will keep on investing at the beginning of every year, right? Rate is 10% per annum compound interest, and we have to calculate the amount of her total savings. Her total savings means her principal with the interest up to the end of second year and at the beginning of third year. See how to solve this. Very interesting. I'm sorry for the red pen. Let me solve this with the blue pen. Let's see how it sounds, how it looks. Sorry. Oh, it's too thick. I don't like such thick. Uh, it's 1 mm. Let me make it dark blue and thin. Cool. So for first year, P1 is equal to rupees 6,000. R1 is equal to 10% per annum, and T1 is equal to 1 year for the first year. Now you can directly find I1, which is P1 into R1 into T1 upon 100. So I1 is equal to rupees 600. Now you got I1. Now find amount. So what is the amount at the end of first year? Amount will be 6,000, that is P1, plus 600, that is I1. That is rupees 6,600. Now we'll come to the second year. Now be very careful over here. What will be P2? At the beginning of every year she has 6,000 rupees which she invests. Already the amount which she got from the first year, that is 6,600 rupees, it is there definitely, but more 6,000 rupees will be added to this. What is this more 6,000 rupees? That is the amount she is investing every year at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of second year, she will have more 6,000 to invest, which will be added with the amount from the first year, right? So the principal for second year will becomes 12,600. R2 is 10%, T2 is 1 year, and I2 we can find 12,600 into 10 into 1 upon 100. So I2 is rupees 126 into 10, 1260. This is the interest at the end of second year. So what is the amount at the end of second year? P2, which is 12,600 plus 1260. So that is 13,860. 13,860 rupees only, right? So that is the amount at the end of, up to the end of second year, you can say. So the first answer we have got. Therefore her savings up to the end of second year is equal to rupees 13,860. The second question, what is her savings at the beginning of third year? So I will write at the beginning of third year. At the beginning of third year, Mrs. Kapoor will have more 6,000 rupees to invest. She will have more 6,000 rupees to invest. Therefore, her total savings become her total savings become 13,860, which she already had up to the end of second year, plus 6,000, which she now has at the beginning of third year. So it comes to total 19,860 rupees only. This is her savings at the beginning of third year. Now the question was very tricky at the end. See, you had to apply the formula for compound interest. But then, when is the money invested? At the beginning of a year, at the end of the year? That determines the saving at a particular time. For that, each question will have different criteria. So you must read the criteria presented in the question. There is no fixed formula for this. It depends on the question. You have to use compound interest, but for how many years? That you have to determine, and that will be given in the question. For that, the ability to understand this word problems should be very, very good. Your command on language should be very, very good. It cannot be taught. It can be taught to a certain extent, like I taught over here. But then in exam, if the question is totally twisted, what will you do? If you cannot understand the question at that time, I cannot help you. Right? So do more and more practice of such sums. You will try to, your mind will try to understand, what is the difference between the money invested at the beginning of the year or the end of the year, and how to find the amount. Let's move to the next question. Ranbir borrows rupees 20,000 at 12% compound interest. If he repays rupees 8,400 at the end of first year and rupees 9,680 at the end of second year, find the amount of loan outstanding. Find the amount of loan outstanding. Outstanding means balance loan, means how much more he has to pay. Amount of loan outstanding at the beginning of third year. This is exactly opposite question of Mrs. Kapoor. Sixth question. In this question, they have asked about a question about repayment. Somebody has already, Ranveer has already taken a loan and he's repaying, and he's not repaying a same amount every year. He is repaying different amount at the end of the year. So in the previous question, Mrs. Kapoor was investing some money, right? She was investing some money at the beginning of the year. Here Ranbir is repaying some money at the end of the year. So let's see how it goes. Now he has borrowed rupees 20,000, right? And there are 2 years in consideration, first year and second year. 2 years in consideration, so we have to calculate interest and amount for 2 years. So let's start for first year. For first year, what will be the principal? Principal is rupees 20,000. The rate 12% per annum, time 1 year. So interest will be P1 R1 into T1 upon 100. So I1 is equal to 2,400. Now interest at the end of first year is 2,400. Let's find the amount at the end of first year. Repayment will be done, but not so quickly. Let's find the amount. P1 plus I1. That is 20,000 plus 2,400. that is 22,400. This is the amount at the end of 1 year or at the end of first year. Okay, now he is repaying. How much he is repaying? 8,400. So I will write a statement over here. Amount repaid at the end of first year is equal to rupees 8,400. Amount repaid at the end of first year is equal to rupees 8,400. Therefore, amount balance. Balance means the loan which is still balance. Amount balance is equal to 22,400, which is the amount at the end of first year, minus 8,400. So 22 minus 8,000 in short, and you're going to get 22 minus 8 is 14,000, right? So this is the balance amount. Now this balance amount becomes the principal for the second year, that is P2. Now we have to calculate for second year. Let me just draw a line over here. Oops. Now for second year, P2 is equal to rupees 14,000. Right? Now you understand why the principal has gone down, because some of the money has already been repaid. Only the balance amount will be qualifying for earning interest or for paying interest. So R2 rate remains the same, 12% per annum. T2 will be 1 year. So I2 will be 14,000 into 12 into 1 upon 100. So 140 into 12 we have to do. That is 168, 114 into 12 and 0, 1680. This is the interest for second year. Now what will be the amount for second year? 14,000 plus 1680, and that is 15,680. 15,680 rupees. This is the amount at the end of second year, but he is also making some repayment. Now I will write over here amount, therefore amount repaid at the end of second year, amount repaid at the end of second year is equal to rupees 9680. Therefore balance amount is equal to, what is the amount at the end of 2 years? 15,680 minus 9,680, right? So this will be 6,000 rupees. So this is the balance amount. Even after paying 9,680 rupees at the end of second year, the amount he still owes to the person or the bank from which he has taken the loan is rupees 6,000. So what is the question? Find the amount of loan outstanding at the beginning of third year. So the final answer should be written in a statement. Therefore, amount of loan outstanding at the beginning of third year is equal to rupees 6,000. That's it. That is the final answer. I hope you understand. Now, what they are doing is they are making this scenario of compound interest more complicated by giving you all this condition. And remember one thing, these kind of problems cannot be solved with formula, because with formula you will directly get the amount at the end of second year. If he is making some repayment in between, or if somebody is investing some money in between, then you cannot use formula, right? So one more thing which we have learned here is, I'm just going to note it here. If you want, you can also note it. In the problems involving uh, yearly savings or repayment, you understand yearly savings means he is saving something at the beginning of the year, or he is repaying something at the end of the year. Yearly savings or repayment, in the problems involving yearly savings or repayment, uh, we can use the method of finding compound interest without using formula only. We can only use this method, right? So whenever you see problems involving yearly savings or yearly repayment, don't use formula. You cannot use formula. So the very important question which comes, most of the students, they are confused in that which method to use. In chapter 2 and 3, both are of compound interest. If I see a question in exam, which method to use? Now you know. If it is a problem of yearly savings or repayment, you cannot use direct formula. You have to use the method of compound interest without using formula, right? Which is discussed in these two sums. Question number 7, Ranbir wala question, and Mrs. Kapoor wala question. Question number 6. Yeah, of course, for finding difference between compound interest and simple interest, you can use any method. Here there is no compulsion. Next question. A man borrows rupees 8,000 at 10% compound interest payable every 6 months. Now see what is happening. Principal is 8,000, rate is 10%, and it is payable every 6 months. Means compound interest payable every 6 months means compounded half yearly, right? He repays rupees 2,500 at the end of every 6 months. After every 6 months, he pays the same amount. What is the amount? 2,500. Oops, what is happening? Okay. Calculate the third payment he has to make at the end of 18 months in order to clear the entire loan. The same thing like Ranbir wala question. Same thing like Ranbir wala question. Only thing there, the difference is over there we took 1 year by year we went, and here we are going half year by half year, right? So the calculation will differ a little bit. Let's see how it's done. So a man borrows rupees 8,000 at 10% compound interest payable every 6 months. So for first half year, P1 is equal to rupees 8,000, R1 is equal to 10% per annum, and time T1 is equal to 6 months, right? 6 months is half year. Let's find I1. So I1 is equal to, I hope you don't need my running commentary, right? That becomes little very difficult. But yeah, I will try to speak in between. It's not like I'll completely go silence and just keep on talking. But yeah, for this, I will not say cutting two zeros and this 2 with 10, it gives me 5. I will not say all that, okay? Just bear with me. I1 is equal to 80 into 5. आदत से मजबूर 80 into 5 400. Okay, great. So the interest after first half year is 400. What will be the amount? P1 plus I1. That is 8,000 plus 400. That is rupees 8,400. So for first half year, this will be the amount. Correct? Let's go. Before going, we have to take care of the repayment, right? So how much is repaid at the end of every 6 months? 2,500. Let me just elaborate over here. Amount repaid at the end of first half year is equal to rupees 2,500. Therefore, balance amount is equal to rupees 8,400 minus 2,500. Right? So what is 8,400 minus 2,500? 5,900. This is the balance amount at the end of first half year. Now for the second half year. For second half year, the principal P2 will be the balance amount at the first half year, that is 5,900. So 5,900 is the balance amount. Rate will be 10% per annum. Time will be half year. I2 will be 5,900 into 10 into half upon 100. So 59 fives are 60 fives are is 300. 59 fives are is 295. Interest at the end of second year. What will be A2? A2 will be P2 plus I2. P2 is 5,900 plus I2 is 295. 5900 plus 295 is 6195. So this is the amount at the end of second year, but he is also making some repayment. Let's mention it over here. Amount repaid at the end of second half year is equal to 2500. Therefore, balance amount at the end of second half year, balance amount at the end of second half year is equal to 6195 minus 2500. 6195 minus 2500, which is 3695. Right, so this is the balance amount at the end of second half year. Now calculate the third payment he has to make at the end of 18 months. Oh, so we have to go for one more year. So for third half year, that is the last half year, the calculations are long, but that is how it is. I'm going to give you more time for this, don't worry about it. So P three will be rupees 3695. R3 10% per annum. T3 1 year. Sorry, half year. I'm extremely sorry for this. T3 is half year. What will be I3? P3 into R3 into T3 upon 100. 3695 into 10 into half upon 100. Right? Simplifying this, we get 3695 divided by 20. We are getting 184.75 rupees. 184.75. Please pay attention on the calculation part, okay? That you have to take care of. I am explaining you the method, but don't expect me to show you how to multiply and divide. That we have already discussed in the previous video. Right, so I3 is 184.75. Now what? Next what? Next is we have to find the amount. Therefore, amount, why I'm writing the whole thing. Therefore, A3 is equal to P3 plus I3. Right, P3 is 3695 plus I3 is 184.75. If you add it, you will get 3879.75. 3879.75. So this is the amount at the end of 18 months. Now, what was the question? Calculate the third payment he has to make at the end of 18 months. Have we reached at the end of 18 months? Yes, in order to clear the entire loan, right? So this is the answer. Now we have to write this answer in statement form. So at the end of 18 months, rupees 3879.75 must be paid in order to clear the entire loan at the end of 18 months, rupees 3879.75 must be paid in order to clear the entire loan. Okay, so that was your question number 8. I hope you understood the idea. The only difference in this question was there were half years. Interest was compounded half yearly, and there were 3 half years, right? So 3 parts calculations we did. Great. Let's look at the next question. As you can observe here, it is already 40 minutes into the video and we have still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions left. So this video will go for more 1 hour, I think so, more hour. Let me drink some water. You also can take a break. Next question. On a certain sum of money invested at the rate of 5% per annum compounded annually, on a certain sum of money. Are you reading this properly? Now this blue color is boring me. Let me take some other color now. Yes, sorry for that, but I can't stick with one color for now. Let me take a gray color, dark gray. Let's see how it sounds. Nice. Okay. On a certain sum of money invested at the rate of 5% per annum compounded annually, principal is not given. The difference between the interest of the first year and interest of the third year. Wow, they have given the difference between I1 and I3, or I3 and I1 is rupees 61.50. Find the sum. Cool. Let's say let the principal be rupees P. Okay, so we have to do calculation for 3 years. For first year, P1 is equal to rupees P, R1 is equal to 5% per annum, and T1 is equal to 1 year. So I1 is equal to P1 into R1 into T1 upon 100. So I1 is equal to P by 20 rupees. Therefore, A1 is equal to P1 plus I1, which is P plus P by 20. Let me just go down. Okay, P plus P by 20, if you take LCM and solve, it will be 21P by 20. So this is the amount, 21P by 20, right? Okay. This is the amount for the first year. Okay, let's continue our calculation for second year as well. For second year, P2 is equal to rupees 21P by 20, right? So the amount after 1 year will become the principal for the second year. So A1 will become P2, 21P by 20. Okay, don't lose the grip over here, because it's very important that, because the calculation is not in numbers, it is in terms of P. So don't lose the grip over here. R2 is equal to 5% per annum. T2 is equal to 1 year. Okay, for the second year, the interest I2 will be 21P by 20 into 5 into 1 upon 100, and this will be 21P by 400. So the amount at the end of second year will be 21p by 20 plus 21p by 400. The LCM of 20 and 400 is 400. So the amount at the end of 2 years will be 420p plus 21p upon 400, which is 441p upon 400. 441p upon 400. This is the amount at the end of second year. Remember, in the question they have asked us to find the difference between the interest of the first year and the third year. So we have to do calculation for third year as well. So for third year, P3 will be 441p upon 400. R3 will be 5% per annum. T3 will be 1 year. I3 is equal to 441p upon 400 into 5%, that is 5 upon 100 into 1, or 5 into 1 upon 100. Anyways, it is the same. So 5 20s and I3 becomes 441p upon 8,000. This is what we wanted, the interest for the third year. Now we have to find the difference between interest for the first year and the third year, which is equal to rupees 61.50 as per the question. So the final thing will be I3 minus I1 will be P by 20. Was it P by 20? Let's check. It was P by 20. Yes. Is equal to 61.50. So the LCM of 8020 is 8000, and it will be 441p minus 400p upon 8000 is equal to 61.50. 441 minus 400 is 41p is equal to 61.50 into 8000. So p is equal to 6150, right? 6150 into 80 upon 41. Now we have to calculate this. This will give you 12,000 rupees. So in your textbook you will find a method where they have assumed the principal to be rupees 100, and then they have solved it, and then they have found the original principal by using unitary method. I think in the end, yes, they have used unitary method. But in my method I always prefer the X method or P method or the variable method. I don't prefer 100 method. Whoever was there with me in 8th class, in class 8th only I was insisting on using the method of X. So this is the same method. In the place of principal I'm not using 100, I'm using P, which is a variable. I can as well use X and get the same answer, and directly you get the answer of P, right? It might seem a little confusing in between, but it is a good method of solving, right? So let's move on to the next question. During every financial year, the value of a machine depreciates by 10%. Okay, now this is an application of simple interest. Sorry, compound interest. because during every year the value of machine is depreciating. Depreciating means, what do you mean by the word depreciation? Depreciation means to decrease. To depreciate means to decrease. So the value of any machine is decreasing every year by 10%. Find the original value or cost of the machine which depreciates by rupees 2250 during the second year. That means in the second year, rupees 2250 is the depreciation. Depreciation. Depreciation means this much money has been, this much amount of the machine has been reduced. So in layman's terms or in compound interest terms, we can understand this question. See, we can take the original cost of the machine as rupees P, which is your principal, right? Rate of depreciation. Rate of depreciation will be 10% per annum. Okay, which is the rate, right? And what we have to find is, we have to find in terms of P the value of I2, that is interest during second year. You know what will be I2? I2 will be the depreciation. So here understand, interest is equal to depreciation for every year. Interest is the depreciation for every year. Correct? Okay. So original cost of the machine uh, be rupees P. Okay. Original cost is taken as P. Let's do the calculation for first year. For first year, T1 is equal to rupees P. We are taking, we don't know the original cost of the machine, so it is P. R1 is equal to 10% per annum. T1 is equal to 1 year. So we'll find I1. P1 into R1 into T1 upon 100. So I1 is equal to rupees P by 10. What will be A1? A1 will be P1 plus I1. That is P plus P by 10. That is 11P by 10 rupees. This is the amount of the first year, right? Remember what we have to find. We have to find the depreciation. I have made a serious mistake. I just lost the track of question somehow. Here, the interest will not be added to the principal. The interest will be subtracted from the principal. Why? Because depreciation means to decrease. The value of the machine is decreasing. Do you understand? The value of the machine is decreasing. So P minus I1 we have to do. That is P minus P by 10. That is 10P minus P by 10. That is 9P by 10. This is the new value of the machine at the end of first year. 9P by 10. Don't forget this and don't make this mistake which I just made. I didn't actually carried on with the mistake. I found my mistake and I changed it, right? Because I was conscious about it. You need to do the same thing. If you make a mistake, that's okay, but just correct it as soon as you find it. For second year, we have to find the depreciation during the second year, that is I2. That's it. Okay. uh, P2 is 9p by 10. T2 is 1 year and R2 is 10% per annum. So I2 will be 9p by 10, that is P2, into 10 by 100 into 1. So 0, 0 cut, and I2 becomes 9p by 100 rupees. So this is the depreciation for the second year or during the second year. Now they have said in the question, uh, find the original cost of the machine which depreciates by rupees 2250 during the second year. So here we have got the depreciation during second year. Therefore, depreciation during second year is equal to rupees 2250. Therefore, 9p upon 100 is equal to 2250. So 9p is equal to 2250 into 100. So p is equal to 2250 into 100 upon 9. Right? 2250 into 100 upon 9. Now 25 nines are 225. So here I'll cut it and it will be 250. So original value of the machine is rupees 25,000. 250 into 100. So we can write in statement, therefore original value of machine is rupees 25,000. Original value of machine is rupees 25,000. Right? So okay, this was a question of depreciation, which was a new question. We used the method of compound interest, but only difference was we subtracted the interest. In this step, we subtracted the interest from the principal to find the amount. Right? So this is an application of compound interest, but only difference is the interest is subtracted because of depreciation. Right? If it was a question of growth, again interest was added, would have been added. Okay. So question number 10. Let's go to the next question. A man invests rupees 46,875 at 4% per annum compound interest for 3 years. Calculate the interest for first year. What is interest for first year? Interest for first year is I1. Okay, that's the first answer. You will get 1 mark for this. 1 mark. It will give you 1 mark. The amount standing to his credit at the end of second year. See, now the man is investing the money. He is not borrowing it. He is not taking a loan. He is depositing the money, investing the money somewhere in the bank or somewhere, and you have to find the amount standing to his credit. What do you mean by these words? Standing to his credit means the amount he will get at the end of second year. So what you have to find for this? A2, right? And for this you will get 1 mark. And the third thing is interest for the third year, that is I3. So interest for the third year is I3. Now you know how to find these things. I1, you have to begin the calculation for the first year, right? You have P1, R1, T1. T1 will be 1 year, and when you find I1 with the help of the formula P1 R1 T1 upon 100, you will get your first answer, which will give you 1 mark. Then you have to go ahead Find the amount at the end of first year, that is A1, which will be the principal for the second year, which is P2, right? Uh, from P2, the second year begins, calculation for second year. From P2, you will get I2, interest for second year, and A2, amount for the amount at the end of second year, which will give you one more one. And then you have to continue your calculation for third year, which will give you I3. So what you have to do is, you have to pause this video right now and you have to solve this question for me. I'm not going to solve this question, very similar to what we have solved earlier, right? And also I have guided you on how to solve this, correct? So please pause the video, solve it, and answer is already given over here. If you have any difficulty in calculation, you can always check in the textbook. These are all the solved examples. But I don't think there is any need for checking the method in the textbook because we already know the method. The only thing is you have to try to get the correct answer. For that, your step should be correct, your calculation should be correct. So this is the right moment to check whether you've understood this video or not. Right? Solve this question yourself and check the answer yourself. We are going to move to the next question. Question number 12. Find the sum invested at 10% compounded annually on which there is some mistake in typing. Let me check. On which the interest for the first year. Oh, so there has been some typing error. No problem, I'll just correct it. On which the, okay, I've selected. On which okay, just imagine the sum is beginning from here. Can I yeah, I can erase it, right? Oh yes, nice. Just a moment. Oops. Question number 12. Okay. Again, this sentence has been repeated. I'll just delete it. Cool. Okay, so that's our question. Find the sum invested at 10% compounded annually, on which the interest for the first year plus the interest for the third year amounts to rupees 1768. So straightforward question. So we have to find the principal, right? We know the method. See, let's do this. Let the principal be rupees 100 or P? Of course P, no 100 method. We are not doing 100 method, right? For first year, what will be the principal for first year? P1 rupees P, right? Interest for the first year, we have to find in terms of P. So R1 will be 10% per annum and T1 will be 1 year and I1 will be P1 into R1 into T1 upon 100, that is rupees P by 10. So A1, the amount for the first year will be P plus P by 10, that is 11P by 10, rupees 11P by 10. This is the amount at the end of first year. Let's continue the calculation for second year. We have to find I1 plus I3. So I3, till I3 we have to continue the same method. For second year, P2 will be equal to 11P by 10. The principal for second year will be the amount for first year. R2 will be 10% per annum and T2 will be 1 year. So I2 is 11P by 10 into 10 into 1 upon 100. 11P by 10 into 10 upon 100. Okay, so 10 gets cut. So I2 will be 11P by 100. Can you tell me what is A2? A2 will be 11P by 10 plus 11P by 100. What is the LCM over here? 100. Right? So on solving this further, this becomes 110P plus 11P by 100. That is 121P upon 100. 121P upon 100. Okay. For third year, what will be the principal for the third year? P3. P3 will be amount at the end of second year. 121P upon 100. R3 will be 10% per annum. T3 will be 1 year. I3 will be, I3 is the only thing which is required. Okay, so just be careful over here. Big calculations. P3 into R3 into 1 upon 100. Okay, so this 0 cuts with this 0 and I3 will be 121P upon 1000 rupees. Now what is the question? The interest for the first year plus the interest for the third year amounts to rupees 1768. So I1 plus I3 is equal to 1768. You remember what was I1? I1 was P by 10, right? So P by 10 plus what is I3? 121P by 1000 is equal to 1768. So we'll take LCM. LCM is 1000. So 100P plus 121P upon 1000 is equal to 1768. So 221P is equal to 1768 into 1000. So P is equal to 1768 into 1000 upon 221. Okay, if you solve this 221 1768 into 1000 upon 221. Yeah, that's what it is. If you solve this, 221 8 za is 1768. So P is rupees 8000. So this was one more such question where the principal was missing and I took principal as rupees P, not 100, and got the answer. Right? One more such question. So I hope you are understanding. These questions are not very difficult, but again, where they have given the relationship between the interest for some middle years, first year and third year, you cannot use direct formula here. These are all the questions which can done only without formula, right? This one, then this depreciation during depreciation of the machine during the second year, you cannot use formula here, right? If you want to find the interest for only second year, it can be done only without formula, right? Difference between the interest of first and third year, this also can be done without formula only. So can we draw a conclusion? Yes, we are in the position to draw a conclusion. So our conclusion will be, in the questions asking us to find interest I will not say interest as an interest. I will write it as find the sum or difference of interest of individual years. ठीक है? In the questions asking us to find the sum or difference of interest of individual years, or the value of depreciation of an individual year. We must use the method of compound interest without formula. Only this method can give us answer, right? So these, the questions which we just saw, that is question number 12, where they asked us to find the relation, they asked us to find the principal with the help of a relation between the interest for the first and third year, I1 plus I3. Then question number 11, where they asked us specifically to find interest for the first year, amount for the second year, interest for the third year. These specific things, interest for individual years, cannot be found with formula. Direct formula will not help us. Then this question where depreciation of a certain year is given and the original value of machine has been asked, without formula is only the way. Here the difference between the interest of two individual years is given and we have to find the original sum, right? Without formula will only work, right? Repayment of money, certain money at the end of uh, a certain period, repayment and you can say saving at the beginning or end of certain period, can be done only without formula, right? This is also repayment by Ranbir, unequal amount repayment, and this was Mrs. Kapoor. So yeah, these all questions we have done. Only one question I have left for you, and one more I have to do for you. That is the 13th one. Let's do this. What is question number 13? A man saves rupees 5,000 every year and invests it at the end of the year at 10% per annum compound interest. Now see what he is doing. He is saving throughout the year. Every year he is saving, but throughout the year he is saving. And he is investing at the end of the year. So suppose I save money during the year 2019. I will invest it in 2019 December. During the whole year I don't have money. I am just saving. It will get accumulated at the end of the year. So I will start saving at the end of the year. Understand this. So 1 year is already gone. In 2019, I will not earn any interest because I have not invested. I am just in the process of saving the money. I have not invested the money. Invested means to put it in a bank or to give it as a loan. I've not done that till now. Calculate the total amount of his uh, savings at the end of third year. At the end of third year. Very interesting. This question is very, very interesting because it will test your logic which you used in the fifth question, Mrs. Kapoor wala question. Mrs. Kapoor was very smart. She already had money at the beginning of the year. But this man is a poor man. He doesn't have money at the beginning of the year. He saves the money and he has enough money at the end of the year. Right? And he saves it at 10% per annum compound interest. Let's see what can be done. Okay. So, for the first year, the principal will, sorry for the spelling mistake, the principal will get accumulated at the end of the year. Remember how I'm writing. Keep in mind the method with which I'm writing. The principal will get accumulated at the end of the year. At the end of the year. Hence, amount at the end of the year A1 is equal to rupees 5,000. You understand? There is no money accumulated during the first year. It gets accumulated at the end of the year, and hence directly I will not write P1, I1. I don't have anything. I directly have the amount at the end of first year. That is, P1 remains P1. P1 was 5,000 and it remains P1. So A1 is P1, right? There is no calculation required for the first year because there was no money. Now for second year, what will be P2? Now he will have the money 5,000 which was accumulated over here. Rate 10% per annum and time 1 year. Interest 5,000 into 10 into 1, the whole upon 100. So I2 is equal to rupees 500. Right? This is the interest for the second year. Now what will be the amount at the end of second year? Amount will be 5,000 plus 500, that is rupees 5,500. This is the amount at the end of second year. But remember, he saves rupees 5,000 at the end of every year. So at the end of second year also he will save rupees 5,000. Therefore, at the end of second year, his total savings would be rupees 5,500 plus 5,000, that is rupees 10,500. Right? This would be his total savings at the end of second year. Let's talk about the third year. For third year, P3, principal at the end, principal at the beginning of the third year is equal to rupees 10,500. Right? The amount at the end of second year will become the principal at the beginning of the third year. We have to calculate the total amount of his savings at the end of third year. So still there is time. What will be R3? 10% per annum. What will be T3? 1 year. What will be I3? I3 will be 10,500 into 10 into 1 upon 100. So I3 will be rupees 1050. Right? So what will be A3 amount at the end of third year? 10,500 plus 1050, that is 11,550 rupees, 11,550. But remember, one more year has ended, right? He invests rupees 5,000 every year at the end of the year. So at the end of third year is here, and he has to invest more 5,000. More 5,000 are accumulated now. So therefore, his total savings now at the end of third year, the total savings now at the end of third year is equal to 11,500 plus 5,000, that is rupees 16,500. That is rupees 16,500. That is his total savings at the end of third year. Now you understand how this saving game goes. It all depends upon the conditions given in the question. If it is given that he is investing at the beginning of the year, then you would take 5,000 at the beginning of the year, and the principal would change in that way. But just keep this thing in mind, whether somebody is saving at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, it will always affect the principal for the next year, that is the second year or the third year, because that saving will be added end of the year or beginning of the year, and that will become the new principal, like how we did in Mrs. Kapoor wala question. Right? So these are all your 13 questions for total 13 question for part A and part B. In part B alone, we did question number 5 to 13, so around 9 questions we did, out of which one has to be done by you. The next part is about more about compound interest, and that is more very interesting part coming up. Many questions are still left in the chapter. There are total I think 21 questions. So we have done 13 question till now, so around uh, 8 questions more are left, right? So that we are going to do in the next part of the video. Now this I'm going to upload now. It is 28th of April. So you don't have to submit this tomorrow, right? You can submit this day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow will be Thursday. So on Thursday you have to submit the whole homework. So you have full day for tomorrow to watch the video and to do the homework, right? I'm going to make one more very short video, not short video, maybe half an hour or something, for the exercise 2B, for guiding you how to solve the exercise 2B. I am sure that you will not need the guidance because you are all smart kids, but definitely, some doubts come up here and there, and compound interest is such a chapter. So I'm going to do that small video, but maybe if I get time tomorrow. Don't be dependent on that video. Just start solving exercise 2b as you would, right? So see you later then. Bye bye.